All right,
All
everybody,
right,
welcome to another
everybody.
deep dive. Today we're heading to the UAE,
The UAE.
to Abu Dhabi specifically.
Okay.
Now, we've got a really, really interesting source material for this one.
Officer.
Some of it's even in Arabic.
Oh, wow.
But what we want to do today is really get, I think, beyond just like the sort of touristy
Yeah.
view of Abu Dhabi,
Right.
which is, beautiful, incredible architecture,
Mhm.
a lot of money.
Yeah, definitely.
But we really want to like understand what makes this place tick,
Yeah.
Like, how is it that they have this blend of like modern ambition
Right.
and deeply rooted tradition?
Yeah. And how does that play into this future that they're trying to create, beyond oil wealth and all that?
Exactly.
Yeah. It's a really fascinating contrast that you see in Abu Dhabi, this sort of like
Yeah.
intersection of, the modern and the traditional.
Absolutely. And so to kind of like set the scene for
Uh-huh.
everyone, like we know Abu Dhabi is this, gleaming metropolis with these crazy skyscrapers,
Mm.
but it's also like the seat of power
Right. Right.
for the whole UAE
Mm-hmm.
and home to the Al Nahyan family, which is like the royal family.
Yes.
And speaking of the Al Nahyan family,
Yeah.
like your sources had all this like really interesting stuff about their history
Oh, yeah.
and how they're kind of intertwined with like the discovery of oil in the region.
Oh, absolutely. Their story is like totally fascinating.
So like what's the story there?
Well, you got to think way back to like the early 20th century
Okay.
when Abu Dhabi's economy was really all about pearling and fishing,
Okay.
and then boom, oil is discovered and it just like transforms,
Is everything.
changes everything overnight,
Yeah.
basically. And the Al Nahyan family, with their leadership, they really were instrumental in like harnessing that new wealth
Yeah.
and kind of like guiding that whole transformation of the UAE.
Wow.
I mean, their story is really like the story of the nation itself.
That's incredible. And speaking of oil, we all know Abu Dhabi controls like a ridiculous amount of the UAE's oil reserves.
90%, like it's
Yeah.
mind-blowing.
It's something like 90%, but
Yeah.
your sources are all saying that, like they're not just sitting on that.
Oh, absolutely not.
Right.
They are not complacent at all.
Yeah.
They're looking ahead.
And they're really trying to diversify.
Yes. Diversification, that's like the big word.
Yeah.
You see it everywhere, from like tourism to real estate
No.
to renewable energy.
Like what are some specific examples of that?
Oh, well, like take Masdar City, for example.
Okay.
It's this like super ambitious project.
Yeah.
And it's envisioned to be like a completely sustainable zero carbon city.
Wow.
It's like a huge statement, right?
Yeah.
A desert city trying to be like a pioneer in green technology.
That's so interesting.
And then you've got these like amazing cultural initiatives,
Okay.
like the Louvre Abu Dhabi
Right.
and like the Guggenheim that they're planning for Saadiyat Island. It's like they're creating a whole new cultural landscape,
Yeah.
Drawing inspiration from all over the world.
It does feel like they're very intentionally crafting like a very specific image for the future.
Absolutely. And not just an image, but like a reality,
Yeah.
a future that's built to last
Yeah.
beyond oil.
Okay. So that's all like super fascinating. But what about like
Yeah.
the reality on the ground for just everyday people who live in Abu Dhabi?
Sure.
Your sources were mentioning that Abu Dhabi has like a really large expat community.
Oh, yeah. It's incredibly diverse.
Okay.
You have people from all over the world
Mm-hmm.
living and working there.
Right.
And that like blend of cultures, it creates this really vibrant energy.
Okay.
But, it is important to remember that the UAE is an Islamic country.
Yeah.
And there are, certain customs and traditions
Right.
that are important to respect.
Like modest dress in public places.
Exactly. It's not about, restricting personal style or anything. It's
Right.
just about being mindful and respectful of the local culture.
Yeah.
It's something you get used to,
Yeah.
just like the desert climate.
Oh, gosh. Speaking of the desert climate,
Yeah.
like you've been to Abu Dhabi, right?
I have, yeah.
What's it like to experience that heat?
It's intense.
Yeah.
It's definitely an adjustment.
I can imagine.
Yeah, like stepping outside during the summer months can feel like walking into a furnace.
Oh, my gosh.
Air conditioning is your best friend.
For sure.
But, there's a certain beauty to the desert landscape.
Yeah.
That starkness, the way the light plays on the sand dunes.
Right.
It's got its own unique charm once you acclimate.
Okay, so to wrap things up,
Yeah.
we've seen like Abu Dhabi's ambition to become this global hub, blending tradition and innovation.
Right.
They're really investing in like the long game.
Definitely.
So with all these like grand plans, What do you think will truly define Abu Dhabi a decade from now?
That's a great question.
Will it be its technological advancements,
Yeah.
its cultural influence, or
Great.
something we haven't even considered yet?
I think it's going to be really fascinating to see how it all plays out.
It's going to be interesting to see how all these pieces they're putting in place now,
Yeah,
how that actually manifests.
absolutely.
Yeah. Well, it's a question worth pondering,
For sure.
and we encourage you to keep diving deeper into Abu Dhabi's story.
There's always more to discover.
It's a place full of surprises.
Definitely.
Thanks for joining us,
Thanks for having me.
and we'll see you on the next deep dive.